So far, everybody, progressive lawmakers in Congress have announced that they will not agree to an infrastructure bill. This is bad news for millions of Americans. So the House Republican leaders are now launching an all-out campaign to sink the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And that's as Democratic leaders struggle to unite their caucus around the legislation.
In this regard, to help communities, help them. For these and other reasons, we are very, very proud of this legislation, and I now will have the honor of signing it. And when I do, it will then go to the President of the United States for his signature. Thank you. I am so excited to be here to say that because of the great work of our distinguished chair of the Appropriations Committee and her cardinals, that's what they're called, cardinals, when you are chair of the Subcommittee of Appropriation, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro. Thank you, Congressman DeLauro. Whip go. Mr. Whip, thank you for honoring us with your presence. Mr. Clyburn and I and Mr. Hoyer are all appropriators. So this is where we feel at home. It's our culture. It's where we work almost always in a bipartisan way for the good of the American people. We did get some bipartisanship today, certainly in the Senate, some here. So thank you, Congresswoman DeLauro, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, Congressman Sanford Bishop, Congresswoman. It talks about establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common defense, the general welfare, and the blessings of liberty. And each of these subcommittees do just exactly that. And with this continuing resolution, we not only keep government open, keep checks flowing to our veterans and Social Security recipients and the rest, but it's about, again, whether it's science at the National Institutes of Health, the education of our children, the protection of our environment. It's just a remarkable thing to think of all the things that we can do working together for the people. This comes at an especially sad time for us because of the destruction of Ida, and Madam Chair DeLauro was very much in the lead, working in putting together a bill in a very bipartisan way to help meet the needs. One of the fastest turnarounds in disaster occurrences, and people have told us that who are waiting for receiving these funds. This is quite remarkable. Hurricane Ida, its victims, other disasters eagerly await this bill, and also to meet the needs of the evacuees from Afghanistan. Some of us are particularly concerned about the women of Afghanistan, but they and their families needed some of our assistance in this.
And while the $1.2 trillion infrastructure package contains popular items supported by both parties, and earned the backing of 19 Republicans in the Senate, GOP leaders in the House want to ensure the Republicans won't be the reason the bill gets over the finish line. They've actually begun putting pressure on their members to vote against this bill. Folks, who is to blame for holding back our stimulus check? The Democrats or the Republicans? Tell me in the comments below. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Stephen Scalise have been making personal calls to members and talking to lawmakers on the House floor. And while Republican leaders are not threatening members who back the bill, they're being forceful with their pitches. One Republican member said the whipping operation was pretty insane. Another Republican described the effort as an 8 out of 10. And a third Republican said we are very serious about this. So while GOP leaders have acknowledged that there will be some Republicans who cross party lines, Representative Stephen Scalise said at a press conference earlier this week that they will work to keep the number as low as we possibly can. The scramble to limit GOP defections underscores just how high stakes are for both parties. Joe Biden's agenda is on the verge of imploding as Democratic leaders struggle to unite the warring factions inside the party. And Republicans keenly aware of that passage of the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill. Maybe Democrats best hope for keeping the majorities next year. So there are specific programs that Congress provides through funding for the next fiscal year, ending on September 30th. Other programs like Social Security are paid out of an indefinite appropriation, and therefore the IRS may continue making these payments during the shutdown. Similarly, these funds needed to be distributed by the child tax credit were appropriated under the American Rescue Plan and do not run out after this fiscal year. The IRS states that a certain subset of its workforce will be kept on to ensure the distribution of payments is not interrupted. So while a government shutdown may not prevent the distribution of the child tax credit payments, the debt ceiling crisis might. In August, when the suspension to the debt ceiling expired, the Treasury had to begin using its extraordinary funds to cover costs, until Congress decided if it would suspend, increase, or do away with the debt limit. In a testimony this week, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned lawmakers that the Treasury is likely to exhaust its extraordinary measures if Congress has not acted to raise or suspend the debt limit by October 18th. Without these funds in hand, Treasury would be left with very limited resources that would be depleted quickly. So it is uncertain whether we can continue to meet all the nation's commitments. This is what our politicians are saying about their fourth stimulus check, everybody. And this is what they're saying about the government shutdown. It seems to me like they're not taking it seriously. And I personally believe that more Americans still need financial assistance and that a fourth stimulus check is definitely necessary. That a government shutdown would have a catastrophic economic consequence on the United States, and represents the first time the United States has ever defaulted on debt, and it will be disastrous for the American economy and the global financial markets. Folks, do you believe that President Biden will send a stimulus check before the end of the year? Tell me in the comments below. Thank you for watching, everybody, and until next time, have a great day and stay safe.
Next will come step 2, the debt ceiling. And we've clearly laid out the way forward there as well. As I've explained since last July, Democrats need to begin the fast-track process for handling this issue through reconciliation. Clumsy attempts at partisan jams by the majority will not change that reality. It didn't work on government funding, and it won't work on the debt limit. They will just be wasting valuable time. I think this reality is hopefully starting to dawn on our colleagues. Multiple leading House Democrats acknowledged just this week that their unified Democratic government is fully capable of fast-tracking a debt limit increase on their own. Nonpartisan experts have confirmed they have plenty of time to get this done before late October. At the same time that the Senate Democratic leader says incorrectly that he doesn't have enough time, he has spent weeks of the Senate's time processing mid-level nominations. Today, the majority is spending multiple hours to confirm a Bureau of Land Management nominee who literally collaborated with eco-terrorists, fiddling away day after day after day while they pretend they lack the time to do their most basic job. Senate Republicans have been totally transparent. We've given Democrats a step-by-step guide to governing in this environment and months of advance notice to get it done. The conclusion to draw from this week is very clear. Clumsy efforts at partisan jams do not work. What works is when the majority accepts the reality of the situation. We're able to fund the government today because the majority accepted reality.